So yeah, my name is Bernard, but if that's too tricky because it is an Austrian name, you can also just call me Bernard because that's my second name. So I don't know what my parents thought about that. And actually, funny thing is that I think I couldn't really have wished for a better introduction than the presentation Andy just did on rideshare, because if you think back on everything you learned from that presentation, map that to healthcare and health data instead of music, that's what we do. We create and enable free flow of data, exchange of data, couple that with a, I wouldn't really call it remuneration system, it's an incentive structure behind that. That's in one sentence what Grapevine is, and now I'm going to spend a couple of minutes to really just illustrate some of the minor differences between Grapevine and rideshare, right? So let's start with looking at the problems, or really just at some of the problems, some of the major problems we see in healthcare right now. And we like to always start with the patient, with the individual, because that's what we believe is really at the center of healthcare and is supposed to be at the center. So there's clearly a lack of access, control, and incentive to share your personal data, right? Your health data. And just quickly surveying the audience, who of you actually in your country or where you are living has access, easy access, efficient access in a digital way to your health data? Right, that's what I thought. So none, that's actually, yeah, good number for us, right? Even bigger, or let's say a second angle to that issue, is that not only you as an individual and as a patient have an active interest in accessing that data, but there are many, many organizations out there that have a deep need for that type of data. Medical research organizations, universities, pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, all of them have massive, massive need for that data, and they can't do that right now in a large-scale way, efficiently. Yeah. That's that. And the third thing is for whole health systems, particularly in the United States, but also across the globe, health system costs are are extremely rising. Systems are extremely inefficient. Data, if there is digital data and there starts being digital data, it's stored in silos. It's inaccessible, again, for you as an individual, but also for your care team, for professionals that have an interest in the data. And that all of these are just massive inefficiencies in the system. So how is Grapevine addressing that? Again, this is how the situation looks like right now. You have multiple diverse, completely unconnected sources of data, and that leads to this limited ability to access it and completely prohibits the ability to utilize that data. So what is Grapevine doing? And that's what Alex was mentioning before, what already exists. Since around 20 years, there is an organization, it's called IHE, Integrating the Healthcare Enterprise. And what that stands for is for data interoperability, standardized data care. And obviously that's a sub-part of it, but that's the global market. And for 2018, it's projected to be around 77 billion, and that's going to double over the next 5 years, leading to a market over 150 billion. And that's exactly the market we're addressing, right? Data exchange, access, and the utilization of it. Now let's have a quick look how that can look like, how that manifests. I'm going to take you through what we call one of our use cases, and that will be a clinical study. That would be a pharmaceutical company having an interest, running a clinical trial. Let's say they look for 1,000 patients, diabetes type 2, male, Caucasian, 60 upwards, right? So what they do is they submit a request to the network, and they're going to have a price per patient for acquiring that data, for engaging that individual in the process. This is forwarded to the patient. We integrate with existing data systems, so we don't own that data, we don't have that data, but we do have the metadata about it. So we know where the patients are that fulfill these requirements, and there are these profiles. So if you fulfill that, you get a push notification on your Grapevine app saying, look, there's a clinical trial, you would be suitable, do you want to participate? Do you want to make your data available, and do you want to be incentivized for that? For that consent that you then provide, which you can also enrich with your user-generated patient data from your iPhone or whatever you have, wearables that you keep tracking, you get the majority of that because you are at the center and it's your data. You're supposed to control that. You're supposed to benefit from that. But also, because we are integrating with that infrastructure and you don't have most of your clinical data, all of that is somewhere distributed at some hospitals, at some other care providers, foster homes, labs, wherever, which we integrate with, we also incentivize them to then give us back your data based on your consent. And then if you want, optionally, you can plug in that process some data analytics engine that prepares, cleanses that data before it's returned, then in a way to the pharmaceutical company in that situation. And that's how the grapes are being distributed. And actually, if you put that all together, you will discover an interesting thing. It's a zero-sum game, right? So Grapevine doesn't benefit from that. Grapevine, we're running an ICO to raise funds to realize that, but all these funds are actually going to go in a non-for-profit foundation because we believe we shouldn't be an entity that's profiting from healthcare. We should be a neutral entity that has an interest in the economy, that has an interest in the value of the token going up, because we're going to retain a substantial part of that, right, for further ability to act. But we're not profiting from interactions. So that was the one way how you can get tokens and how you are incentivized and rewarded for making your data available. But what do you do once you have the tokens? I mean, the one easy way is it's going to be an Ethereum-based token so you can exchange it for fiat money, right? So you can basically monetize your health data, which no one really wants to hear. But that's somewhat what it is. But even more interesting, it's a utility token, right? So you should have a utility from it itself. And that's also just one example of what you could do. You could get a second opinion. And because we represent the whole ecosystem, all the stakeholders, you can submit a request for a second opinion. Let's say you have some knee issues and you would have to get a surgery. But do you really want to do that? You're not sure, so you'd like to get a second opinion from the global leading experts in that space, which we partner and work with. You send the request, same process, your content about that is forwarded to the healthcare provider, to where your data is. That's then being shared with the expert network that analyzes that, and you receive the expert opinion. And there you see in the middle, pretty much the process is turned around, right? You pay in for the opinion. The majority of that goes to the expert network for actually doing the analysis and the diagnosis, and a part goes again to the healthcare provider to give them an incentive to participate in that. Where are we on the roadmap? We founded the company beginning of last year. Again, our history goes back 18 years because we've been founded from this technology development company that's in that space and that's a leading entity in that market. We've just finalized our white paper. We launched. We have a website. We have pretty much everything you need, right? And we're going to be running our pre-round in February now. We're looking to raise $6 million in the pre-round now in February. To that, a small comment. Unfortunately, we had to decide to exclude American US citizens and residents from that because it's at a discounted rate and we don't want to get into this security debate. So we decided to take that step. Then we started already, but until Q2, around May-ish, we're now building up the community and proving out the value. Again, remember the IHE part we have already, that's existing technology. Now we're just building out this thin accounting layer based on blockchain to then match that up. Then for the ICO to happen in May. And then we're going to, around 6 months after that, we're going to start listing the token. Yes, and with that, I just want to close. That's the team behind it. You see quite a substantial team. There's a lot of steam behind the initiative. And altogether, we have a consolidated amount of more than 100 years of experience in the healthcare data exchange industry. And now looking to leverage the power of blockchain to that. Thank you.